The Galactic Council chamber was one of the most advanced places in the known universe. It floated quietly above a blue and white gas giant, an enormous ring-shaped station glowing with millions of tiny lights. Inside its central hall, representatives from more than 50 intelligent species had gathered. It was a rare full session, and that meant something serious was being discussed. The air shimmered faintly with translation fields, allowing every species to hear the conversation in their own language. Counselor Vrex, a tall and insect-like leader from the Solari, stood at the center podium. His long, delicate limbs clicked nervously against the floor. "Council members," he began, his voice translated into a calm, neutral tone. "We face an event that could affect every star system in this sector. The Maelstrom Rift is collapsing. Its gravity waves have already destroyed 3 colonies, and calculations show it will destabilize nearby stars within a standard year." A low murmur passed through the chamber. The rift was a region of space avoided by almost everyone, an unpredictable storm-filled zone where no navigation computer could give safe coordinates. Ships that entered were almost never seen again. Rex continued, "There is one possible solution. Deep within the rift lies an artifact left by the first builders. Our scientists believe it is a star core stabilizer. If we recover it, we may stop the collapse and save billions of lives." The hologram above the podium changed, displaying the image of a glowing metallic sphere floating among twisting clouds of energy. It looked beautiful but also frightening, like a trap waiting to be sprung. Rex's tone grew heavy. "But this mission will be extremely dangerous. The rift's gravitational storms will tear apart most ships. The energy spikes are unpredictable. Our models show a survival rate of less than 2%. Silence fell. Then one by one, representatives spoke. The Avexian delegate, a small bird-like being with bright feathers, shook her head. "We cannot risk our ships. Our people are already struggling to recover from last year's plague." "We decline." The Varnak general, covered in thick armor-like scales, growled deeply. "Even our war cruisers cannot survive a region with no stable physics. We will not waste lives on a suicide mission." The crystalline Ura delegate flickered with cold blue light. "The numbers do not lie. To attempt this mission is to throw resources into a void. We refuse." More and more species rejected the call, some politely, others angrily. Within minutes, the council chamber was full of overlapping voices, frustration, and fear. Everyone wanted the rift to be stabilized, but no one wanted to risk their own people. When the noise finally settled, Counselor Vrex sighed. "Then the mission is impossible. Unless some brave species volunteers, we must prepare for mass evacuation of entire systems." At that moment, the human delegation arrived. They were late, as usual. A small group walked confidently into the chamber, led by Captain Rhea Morgan of the Terran Exploration Corps. Humans had only joined the Council 2 decades. Captain Rhea Morgan's words echoed through the Council chamber long after the humans left. "Is that it?" she had asked almost casually, as though the mission everyone else feared was nothing more than a routine assignment. Many species considered it arrogance. Some thought it was foolish bravery, but one thing was clear. Humanity had accepted the mission no one else would dare take. Back aboard their ship, the Endeavor, Rhea wasted no time. She called a full crew meeting. The ship's mess hall was filled with men and women from different nations of Earth, some in flight suits, others in lab coats, but all of them wearing the same look, curiosity mixed with excitement. Rhea stood at the center, her hands behind her back. "You all know why we're here," she said. "The Council believes this mission is nearly impossible. The rift has swallowed every ship that's gone too far inside. But we are not every ship. We are human. We learn, we adapt, and we don't back down when lives are on the line." There was a murmur of agreement across the room. Her first officer, Commander Malik Hayes, raised an eyebrow. "You do realize, Captain, that this could be a one-way trip?" Rhea nodded calmly. "Yes, I do. That's why I asked for volunteers only. If anyone wants to step off this ship before we depart, there is no shame in it." No one moved. Instead, Dr. Alara Voss, the ship's lead scientist, spoke up. "Then let's make sure we do this right. We will need reinforced hull plating, navigation software that can adjust in real time, and enough power reserves to survive gravitational surges." Work began immediately. The Endeavor was docked in one of the Council's largest shipyards, where human engineers worked side by side with alien technicians, though not all of them were eager to help. One Silari mechanic whispered to another, They are wasting resources. No ship can survive the rift. The humans ignored the doubts. They upgraded the hull with flexible layered plating designed to bend without breaking. They installed experimental jump drives capable of hundreds of micro-adjustments per second, so the ship could dance around gravitational traps instead of fighting them. Meanwhile, the crew trained. In the flight simulator, pilots practiced flying through impossible obstacle courses until they could steer with instinct rather than thought. The engineers drilled emergency repairs until they could fix broken systems blindfolded. The medics prepared for every possible injury: burns, concussions, radiation exposure. Some of the other species came to watch. The Avexians observed silently from the catwalks above the hangar, whispering to each other about human madness. The neuroscientists recorded the training sessions, claiming they were gathering psychological data on human decision-making. Commander Hayes noticed them one evening. "They think we're going to fail," he muttered to Rhea. Rhea only smiled. "Then we will surprise them." At night, when most of the crew rested, Rhea walked through the quiet corridors of the ship. She stopped in the engine room, listening to the soft hum of the upgraded reactor. She visited the navigation deck where stars glowed faintly on the holoscreens. She was not fearless. No one truly was before a mission like this. She simply refused to let fear control her. The night before departure, she gathered her crew once again. They stood in the hangar bay, looking up at the Endeavour, now fully refitted, its white hull gleaming under the lights. Rhea spoke quietly, but every word was clear. "Tomorrow, we go where no one else will go. Billions of lives may depend on us. We may face storms that tear space itself apart, but we are ready. Not because we have the strongest ship or the most advanced weapons, but because we will not stop until we succeed. That is what it means to be human." The crew applauded softly, then returned to their stations. In the observation deck above, several alien representatives watched in silence. One of them, a Varnak general, crossed his arms. "If they survive," he said slowly, "the reputation of their species will change forever." No one replied. In the hangar below, the Endeavour powered up. Its engines glowed softly, like a heart beating before a great test. The humans were ready. The next sunrise would mark the beginning of their journey into the Maelstrom Rift. The day of departure came. The Endeavour drifted out of the Council's massive shipyard, its engines glowing with quiet strength. All across the station, alien eyes watched the human ship move toward the rift. Some expected to see the ship destroyed within hours. Others secretly hoped it would succeed, even if they would never admit it. Captain Rhea Morgan stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines and the occasional sound of beeping sensors. "Status?" she asked. "Course locked," said Navigator Irie Tan, her fingers moving across the glowing console. "We will cross the rift boundary in 5 minutes," Rhea nodded. "All hands prepare for turbulence." The rift appeared on the main screen, a swirling curtain of black and violet clouds stretching across space like a storm front. Bright flashes of light sparked within it as if lightning was tearing through the void. The stars beyond seemed to twist and bend, as though space itself was being pulled apart. Commander Malik Hayes let out a low whistle. "It looks even worse up close." Dr. Ilara Voss stared at the screen with wide eyes. "Sensors are picking up gravitational fluctuations every few seconds. We'll have to make constant corrections or we'll be dragged into one of the singularities." "Then let's start dancing," Rhea said calmly. The Endeavour crossed the boundary. Instantly, alarms blared across the bridge. Gravity surged in strange directions, throwing the crew against their harnesses. Lights flickered as energy waves rolled across the ship's hull. "Compensate," Rhea shouted. Erie's hands flew across the console, rerouting power to the navigation thrusters. The ship jolted to the side, barely missing a spinning fragment of what looked like an old wrecked cruiser. "Hold her steady," Malik barked. "I am holding," Erie replied, her voice tense but focused. Outside the rift was chaos. Shattered pieces of moons and asteroids drifted through space, colliding and breaking apart. Streams of glowing gas twisted like living things, sometimes reaching toward the ship as if trying to grab it. "Shields at 70%, called Chief Engineer Rana, her voice coming from the engine room. "If we keep taking this much stress, they won't hold for long." "Reinforce with emergency power," Rhea ordered. "Divert from non-essential systems. Diverting now, Rana replied. The Endeavor shook violently as another wave of energy struck. Sparks flew from one of the panels, but the crew kept working. Another singularity forming ahead, Erie warned. Plot a slingshot trajectory around it, Rhea said quickly. Slingshot? Malik frowned. That's risky. So is staying here. Irie adjusted the controls. The ship banked hard, letting the gravity well pull it closer before firing the main thrusters to slingshot out of its pull. For a moment, the ship seemed to spin wildly, but then it shot forward at incredible speed, escaping the singularity's grip. A cheer went up on the bridge. That's what I'm talking about, Malik said, grinning despite the danger. But the celebration was brief. Ahead of them, a massive storm of glowing energy blocked their path. The readings spiked to dangerous levels. We can't go through that, Dr. Voss said. It will fry every system we have. Rhea studied the readings for a moment, then pointed to a narrow gap in the storm on the display. There, it's unstable, but we might get through if we time it right. Irie hesitated. That opening could close in seconds. Then we go fast, Rhea said firmly. All engines full power. The Endeavor roared forward. The storm loomed ahead, filling the screen with blinding light. Just as the opening began to collapse, the ship shot through, shaking so hard the entire crew felt it in their bones. When they emerged on the other side, there was a moment of calm. The rift's interior stretched before them like a strange alien ocean. The gravitational surges were weaker here, and the view was breathtaking. Stars bent into spirals of light. Broken fragments of planets floated like islands. Strange glowing shapes moved slowly in the distance as if watching them. The crew sat in silence, staring at the view. This is incredible, Dr. Voss whispered. No one has ever seen this far into the rift before. Let's make sure we live long enough to tell the story, Malik said. Rhea nodded. Plot a course deeper in. The artifact should be near the rift's core. We've come this far. We're not turning back now. The Endeavor pressed on, heading into the unknown heart of the Maelstrom. The deeper the Endeavor moved into the Maelstrom rift, the stranger the space around it became. Stars twisted like ribbons of light, and clouds of energy danced with colors the crew had never seen. Even the most advanced human sensors could barely make sense of the readings. Gravity fluctuations are reaching new extremes, Dr. Alara Voss said, her fingers flying over the console. If we aren't careful, the ship could be crushed or torn apart. Captain Rhea Morgan leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the view screen. How far to the artifact? Approximately 30,000 kilometers, Navigator Erie Tan replied. But the readings are unstable. The closer we get, the more unpredictable everything becomes. Then we proceed slowly, Rhea said. Every second counts. The crew adjusted their positions, strapping themselves tightly into harnesses as the ship moved carefully through the rift. Gravity waves tossed the Endeavor side to side, making the lights flicker and the hull groan. Suddenly, an enormous shadow appeared ahead, almost too large to comprehend. The artifact. It was a massive sphere floating silently in the void. Its surface was polished metal, glowing with a soft, pulsing blue light. Strange patterns moved across it, like energy flowing through a circuit. It was beautiful, alien, and somehow alive. Dr. Voss leaned forward in awe. It's amazing. No human or alien has ever touched anything like this. Rhea remained calm, but her mind was racing. Sensors indicate intense energy fields around it. Any contact could fry the ship instantly. Commander Malik Hayes swallowed hard. We can't just grab it and go? No, Rhea said. We need a plan. The Endeavor moved closer, careful to avoid floating debris and unpredictable energy bursts. The sphere seemed to react, pulses of light growing stronger as they approached. Captain, Erie said, we're detecting microgravity spikes all around it. One wrong and we could be pulled straight into the core of the storm. Rhea studied the readings. She knew the only way to retrieve the artifact safely was for someone to exit the ship in a protective exosuit and guide it aboard. I'll go, she said. Malik's eyes widened. Captain, this is insane. You could be killed out there. Rhea smiled calmly. Then I'll die doing what no one else can. The crew stays on the ship. We follow protocol. If it fails, we regroup. But I intend to succeed. The exosuit locked around her, its thrusters tested and ready. She stepped into the airlock, sealed it, and floated into the void. The view outside was both terrifying and magnificent. Debris floated lazily around her, illuminated by the artifact's glow. She activated her thrusters and moved carefully toward the sphere. As she approached, she could feel an almost physical presence from the artifact, like it was aware of her. The blue pulses intensified, and tiny sparks of energy danced around her suit. "Stay calm," she whispered to herself. "Observe, adapt, and act." Using a specially designed magnetic tether, Rhea linked the artifact to the Endeavor. It resisted at first, but she adjusted the thrusters, guiding it gently. For a tense moment, it seemed as if the sphere would repel her completely, floating just out of reach. Then, slowly, it responded. The light dimmed slightly, and the energy waves around them softened. Rhea realized the artifact was testing her, probing her courage, her precision, her resolve. "You're not just a human," she said aloud. "You're someone willing to try." Finally, the tether locked fully. The artifact hovered steadily, ready to be pulled aboard. Rhea carefully guided it into the ship's cargo hold, watching as the Endeavor stabilized around them. Inside, the crew erupted in quiet cheers. Dr. Voss rushed to examine the artifact. "It's alive in some way," she said. "It's sending pulses we can read. This could save entire star systems." Malik shook his head in disbelief. "We went through all that chaos, all that danger, and she just brought it aboard like it was nothing." Rhea floated back to the airlock, her suit exhausted but intact. As she re-entered the ship, the crew unstrapped themselves and rushed to greet her. "You did it," Malik said simply. Rhea shook her head, smiling faintly. "We did it. Every one of you. Without the ship, without the crew, I would have failed." Even Dr. Voss, usually analytical and cautious, looked at her with admiration. "This changes everything. Humans, you aren't reckless. You're extraordinary." Rhea looked at the artifact, its soft glow reflecting in her eyes. "Extraordinary isn't the same as fearless," she said. "It's the willingness to face the impossible anyway." The Endeavor remained in the rift for a few more moments, scanning and recording every detail of the area surrounding the artifact. When all readings were complete, Rhea gave the command to leave. The heart of the rift had been conquered. The Endeavor left the Maelstrom rift behind, battered but alive. The artifact hovered safely in the cargo hold, its soft blue glow reflecting in the faces of the crew. Outside, stars resumed their usual orderly patterns. Space seemed calm again, almost as if it were sighing after the chaos the humans had survived. Captain Rhea Morgan stood on the bridge, looking at the calm display. "Status report," she said. Navigator Iritan shook her head, still in awe. "Shields holding. Engine stable. We're clear of the worst turbulence. The rift is behind us." Commander Malik Hayes let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "I think we made it." Dr. Alara Voss smiled faintly, but her eyes shone with amazement. "We didn't just survive. We brought the artifact back intact. And the data, look at this. We have enough readings to understand the rift and navigate it safely in the future." Rhea allowed herself a small nod. "Good work, everyone." This mission was never about proving bravery. It was about doing what had to be done. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the human success spread quickly. The Galactic Council received live sensor data, images of the artifact, and streams of readings from the Endeavor. Alien scientists and leaders stared in disbelief. Counselor Vrex, who had first proposed the mission, rubbed his mandibles thoughtfully. "The humans, they did it," he said. "Against all odds, against every warning, they succeeded." The Avexian delegate, who had once refused to participate, could hardly hide her astonishment. "I never thought it possible," she whispered to her colleagues. The Varnak general, who had always considered humans reckless, simply grunted. "They've changed how the galaxy will see their species forever." Back on the Endeavor, the crew had begun repairs and system checks. Despite exhaustion, the ship hummed with energy, almost as if it were proud of its crew. Rhea walked through the corridors, checking on each team. "How are you all holding up?" she asked. "Better than I expected," Malik admitted. "I never imagined we'd make it through that storm." "Alive," Dr. Voss nodded. "And not only alive, but with more data than anyone else has ever gathered. We've learned things no one else could have imagined." Rhea paused by the cargo hold, looking at the artifact. Its soft pulses seemed to echo the heartbeat of the universe. "You'll save billions," she said quietly. "That's what makes this worth it." The journey back to the council station was tense but calm. The crew remained vigilant, knowing the rift was behind them, but that space always held new dangers. Still, A quiet confidence had replaced the fear that had accompanied them inside the maelstrom. When they finally docked at the council station, representatives from every major species gathered to witness the humans' return. The chamber, which had once been filled with doubt and hesitation, now buzzed with excitement and curiosity. Rhea and her crew stood at the center, the artifacts secured safely nearby. Counselor Vreck stepped forward, his voice reverent. "Captain Morgan, you and your crew have done what no other species could. You have faced the impossible and succeeded. The galaxy owes you its thanks." Rhea shook her head slightly. "We did what needed to be done. Not for glory, not for recognition. We did it because it had to be done." Still, the other species were in awe. Humans had not only survived the Maelstrom Rift, but had also brought back knowledge that could save countless worlds. Where other species had turned away in fear, humans had stepped forward showing ingenuity, courage, and determination. A Varnak officer approached Rhea. "You have proven something today," he said simply. "Humans are different, remarkable, and not reckless as many believed." Rhea smiled faintly. "We're just willing to try. That's all." The council decided to make changes immediately. The Maelstrom Rift, once considered untouchable, would now be studied with human methods in mind. Navigation protocols would be updated, and missions that had seemed impossible would now be reconsidered. For the first time, humans were not just members of the Galactic Council. They were leaders, innovators, problem solvers. Their reputation had changed forever. As the crew of the Endeavor celebrated quietly in their mess hall, Rhea looked out at the stars. She thought of the rift, the artifact, and the challenges they had faced. "Is that it?" she whispered to herself, smiling. Then she laughed softly, remembering the words she had spoken when first presented with the mission. No, it had not been it. It had been far more. It had been humanity proving that courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the most impossible odds. And in that moment, Rhea knew that humans would continue to face challenges no other species dared to attempt. Because that was what humans did. They faced the impossible and simply said, "We can do this." The galaxy would never forget it.